You know that leftists, and especially the media party, hate our Canadian armed forces. I mean that very precisely. They don't just hate wars, they hate our soldiers and they try to discredit them. I mean, here's a thought experiment for you. Omar Khadr was an Al-Qaeda terrorist who planted IED explosives along the routes traveled by our soldiers in Afghanistan. Who knows how many Canadians he killed by doing that? He confessed to killing one US soldier, Christopher Speer, but Khadr is probably the #1 hero to Canada's media. One leftist columnist, Judy Rebick, actually compared him to Nelson Mandela. The Toronto Star actually mused about giving him the Order of Canada. So here's the thought experiment. Can you name a single Canadian soldier that the media treats as a folk hero, that the media loves for defending our country? No? Yeah, me neither. We actually do have plenty of military heroes from Afghanistan alone. Don't you think it says something that the only time the media party shows any attention, let alone any affection to our soldiers, is when they get killed? Or for 24 hours once a year, when the media fakes it on Remembrance Day? I mean, for years the CBC repeated the lie that our Canadian soldiers were a party to war crimes in Afghanistan, that we aided in the torture of Taliban terrorists, and that our Canadian Armed Forces covered it up. Here, listen to the CBC's Terry Malevsky and Liberal Party donor Amir Attaran.
If these documents were released, what they will show is that Canada partnered deliberately with the torturers in Afghanistan for the interrogation of detainees. There would be a question of rendition, and there would be a question of war crimes on the part of certain Canadian officials. That's what's in these documents, and that's why the government is covering up as hard as it can.
Attaran says this is not about turning a blind eye. Under all that black ink on the censored documents, he says, is evidence that Canada intentionally handed prisoners to torturers.
And it wasn't accidental. It was done for a reason. It was done so that they could be interrogated using harsher methods.
Literally for years that lie was told and retold again, though Attaran never furnished the proof of it. In the end, the Canadian government convened a multi-million-dollar investigation, including former Supreme Court judges, to go through literally tens of thousands of classified military documents, searching for the fact behind that lie. And there was none. The government even put Stéphane Dion, the former Liberal leader, on the committee just to show how bipartisan they were. And Dion agreed there was nothing to the allegations other than left-wing slander. So that's the background. Here we are today in a new election with a new Liberal leader and a new war that the left and the media are trying to discredit, the war against the Islamic State. Here's Justin Trudeau showing his disrespect for our Canadian forces in 2015.
Whether it's our expertise around humanitarian aid and around refugee status, there's a lot of people, refugees, displaced peoples fleeing violence who are facing a very, very cold winter in the mountains. If something Canada has expertise on, it's how to face a winter in the mountains with the right kind of equipment.
He said he'd rather help victims of terrorism by dropping warm coats on them or something. What an idiot. But it's the same disrespect for our troops as before, not just for our mission, but for our troops themselves. So here's the latest news. So there's another rumor that our very small Canadian military fighting force against the Islamic State, I mean really, it's just 6 CF-18 jets and some refueling planes. There's a rumor, a secondhand rumor, that in a bombing run against Islamic State terrorists, some civilians were killed. To which the obvious answer is yes, war is hell. When we kill civilians, it's by accident. When the Islamic State kills civilians, it's on purpose. That's the difference. Now, that's one of the risks of war, but this story is like catnip to journalists because it goes to their theme, their core beliefs. We are immoral. The terrorists are folk heroes, just like Omar Khadr. Now, our Department of Defense has denied this rumor, saying it's false. All the media has is a second-hand report of a civilian being killed, so of course they're running with it anyways. The media is disloyal, there's no surprise there. They hate our troops, but look at what Justin Trudeau has to say, and I quote, "These are very serious allegations, but we need to know more about them. One of the things that has been consistent from this government has been a lack of openness and transparency, even on issues as important as our engagements around the world with Canadian military forces," unquote. Now, of course, it is serious if our troops accidentally kill civilians, but Trudeau's tone suggests that if it were true, it would somehow invalidate our military mission, or perhaps reflect an immorality of our military as opposed to an accident in the fog of war. Is it really a serious political matter if in a war a civilian is accidentally killed? Did we kill no civilians by accident on D-Day at Juno Beach? Or when we helped fight for South Korea? Or when we joined in liberating Kuwait? Or in any other peacekeeping mission we've done around the world? Is Trudeau so naive, so coddled, so in a bubble of privilege that he thinks it's a political matter that might change our course of action? Well, his next sentence shows his solution to this problem. He says that the Conservative government has a lack of openness and transparency in regards to our military forces. Okay, hang on. Openness and transparency about government spending, expense accounts, lobbying, that sort of thing. Good idea. Got it, for sure. But Trudeau is saying we should be more transparent in our military missions, in the tactical details, that we should treat military secrets as public information, to be transparent about it, for opposition opportunists like him to chew over, for the CBC to hype like they did the Afghan rumors, but most importantly for our terrorist enemies to know about and learn from. Seriously, a transparent military in the middle of an operation, really? It should disclose things more? Maybe what time it launched the action, from what base, with what weapons, who it was after, and what damage we did? Just basically declassify the war right in the middle of it, just end the element of surprise and secrecy? Is he really that childish? Why, yes. Yes, he is. For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.